Well, folks, I thought it was about time tonight to give a bit of an update on some things that have been happening behind the scenes that most of you won't be aware of, but clearly lots of you have been calling for. First up, we'll start with a class action and legal action that lots of people have asked about. A few of us met with a lawyer earlier in the week and got a rundown on how that would look and how it would unfold. The good news is there is definitely a case that people are interested in taking to get our homes cleaned and sorted out, and call on action to make sure that this problem never ever happens again in this city, which I think is important. I don't know about you. I don't think we should ever allow this to happen again. $200,000 is what we need to play that game. So that's basically 20,000 people putting their hands in their pockets for $10, or 10 people putting their hands in their pockets for $20,000 each, or something in between. Let me know what you think about that idea. Next up on the list is there are lots of people who are complaining that they were not included in the original catchment area. And there are lots of people complaining that $200 was not enough. Well, what we need to know is who those people are. We need to know who all the affected people are, and then come together as a community. We need to understand what that cost looks like and explain to the ratepayers why they need to front paying for it. Obviously, the first obvious answer is because it's their poo that's causing the mess. But it's all our poo, so we're all going to be paying for it. So we need to understand exactly what that looks like. So, over the last few days, a couple of us have been working on a new database that will be able to capture all that information. There's about 16 questions. You're going to be able to edit your own information. You're going to be able to load in your own information, and that will be coming out sometime later in the week. We're just sorting out finer details, doing a bit of debugging, testing, and all the usual obvious stuff that IT geeks do with this sort of stuff. What else can I tell you? Air quality testing. There have been lots of calls for somebody else do some air quality testing because we don't trust ECAN and we don't trust this council. Well, I can tell you there are other people who agree with you on that one, and they have actually organised air quality testing, and I understand that those results will be back shortly. Something we learnt is that folk learnt that it actually takes a while to do air quality testing. Everyone kind of assumed that that would happen very quickly, and actually it doesn't. It also costs a lot of money to do, so someone has put their hand in their pocket for that one as well. We also need some sort of community endorsement in the form of an incorporated society, a little bit like a residents' association, and some formal structure, because self-appointed positions often don't work particularly well. Sometimes. I'm a big fan of them, actually, in the software development world, where open source software has taken over the world, and a lot of the people delivering that are very much self-appointed because they just step up and do. But there are folk who have a reasonable good case for why we need some proper structures. So that is also being worked on, and a crew got together last Thursday to welcome someone actually from Rolleston who stepped up to help with that. And we're putting together a bit of a constitution, and shortly we will be calling for a third public meeting where you will be able to come along and nominate a committee and vote for a chairperson and vote for a secretary and treasurer and all those usual things that these sorts of groups have. And then we will have some sort of official group behind that. We have also come up with a name. Wait for it. It's gone from my head right this second. It'll come back to me. Stop the Stench. Stop the Stench. Say it with me. Stop the Stench. And guess what? There'll be yet another website for that one very shortly. So watch out for that. Stop the Stench. We're also going to start looking at a mailing list, because the Facebook group, I just looked at the stats a few moments ago, and it's about 400 and 40 new posts made in the last 28 days, which it's fantastic that people are engaging with posts that just, Friday night they've had enough. They want to make a post that just says it stinks. Everybody knows it stinks. And lots of people are offering reminders to use the Smell It app. More about that in a second, by the way. But the problem we've got is that some of the news items are actually starting to get lost in the feed, and people are having more and more trouble keeping up with what's going on. So we will start working on an email out newsletter that'll go out every day or every couple of days with the latest updates and what have you, created by the community, rather than you having to troll all the way through the latest Facebook posts. And we will probably build that off the back of the database that will come live sometime over the next week. So that will solve some problems for some people. Oh, and the Smell It stuff. I know we've said this a dozen times. Please report the Smell It. Please keep using the Smell It app and making the reports. Yes, we know the heat map doesn't show all the data, but if you actually go to the sewer crisis website, there is another link of a map which does show all the data, and you can also do a comparison looking at last week's data versus this week's data, or yesterday's versus today's. Obviously, you can't look at tomorrow's data, but if you look at the weather forecasts, you can see where the stench is going to be heading, and if it's heading to your neighbourhood tomorrow. And that's also something that people have expressed interest in. So we're starting to try and understand that better. And in fact, the council's comms team have really picked up the ball on this one, because if you look at their blog, they provide a daily update on what the wind is doing, so you can get a bit of an idea of where that stench is going to be next. Credit to that team. They have actually picked up the ball. They were a bit loose on it before. They've certainly sorted it out now. Anyway, that's my lot for tonight. Have a great time, guys. Have a great day and enjoy the stench. Let's stop the stench. Say it with me. Stop the bloody stench.